By the time I heard the line "Jingle All the Way" blare out from the little alarm clock across the room, I was already up and out of bed. I'd spent every waking moment of the night before waiting to hear that classic Holly Jolly Christmas tune call my name, and I couldn't waste any time in postponing the festivities. After brushing my teeth and throwing on the old Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer Christmas sweater I'd bought down at the Goodwill for an absolute steal 5 years ago, I rushed down the hallway, decorated in bright multicolored Christmas lights, and into the living room. My tree this year stood tall, burly, and lit up like you wouldn't believe. I usually just go with the standard reel and leave it at that, but last night I was looking at the tree after eating my dinner and realized it looked a bit dim. Perhaps the bulbs I've been recycling for decades were finally starting to fail on me. Regardless, I took this opportunity to blast my Christmas spirit into high gear. I ran out to Walmart and bought 5 boxes of their finest colored Christmas lights. I would have bought more, but they said they were all out around this time and had to go in the back to even find those. I guess people don't usually wait till Christmas Eve to buy Christmas lights, right? Looking at my tree now, all 6 strands of light, dim original included, it looked absolutely gorgeous. I may have had to turn my head away from time to time when my eyes started to burn, but the beauty made it all okay. I closed my eyes and braced myself in anticipation to tilt them downwards and see the gift Santa had brought for me this year. I've been really good this year, I made sure of it. I was naughty once about 10 years back, and sure enough, I woke up that Christmas morning to find nothing but a stocking filled with coal. And I don't even put up stockings. I just found them shoved into one of my socks under the tree. Lifting my eyelids and looking under the tree, I let out an audible sigh of relief. I was good this year after all. Sitting there under the tree was one lonely little box, wrapped in bright white and blue striped wrapping paper and tied at the top with an obnoxiously sized red bow. I darted under the tree and started shaking my present rapidly. Oh boy, I wonder what it is. Maybe it was a little toy truck, or maybe even a car, or a bike. Sitting cross-legged on my living room floor, I ripped the wrapping paper off with a few vicious swipes. "Oh, thank you, Santa," I whispered to myself as I gazed on in admiration of my gift. Sure enough, Santa got me a little green truck with detachable wheels and fully openable doors. He really did know what I wanted. It doesn't really surprise me, but it always feels good to get that reassurance. As a kid, my parents always had me write letters sent straight to the North Pole to let Santa know what I wanted for Christmas. But as an adult, I found an even simpler way. Writing letters may work, but they can't beat the speed of sending your wishes straight to Santa with the messenger of your own thoughts. Every year, when I figure out what I want, I just close my eyes and say, "Dear Santa, I've been really good this year, and I'd really like a toy truck for Christmas. I know you're real, and I know you won't let me down. Thank you, Santa." And then I just go on about my day. He hears it. I know he does. He has to. How else would I be getting these Christmas gifts back in return? After sitting on my living room floor, playing with my new favorite toy for a few hours or so, I got up and made my way to the kitchen to enjoy the other best part of Christmas Day, the sweetest breakfast of the year. I got out the sugar milk I made a few days prior by pouring into my milk a few cups of the finest cane sugar I could find, the frosted flakes, and my jug of maple syrup. Once I fill up my popcorn bowl with the cereal, I then lay on the syrup. I pour generously, just for the special occasion. I know I can't be doing this every day. I pour till the syrup gets about halfway to the top, and then I start laying on the sugar milk. I usually wait till it reaches about another fourth up the bowl, and my delicious Christmas feast is complete. There really is nothing like it, to be honest. Every time I lift a spoonful of those maple sugar milk frosted flakes to my mouth, I get a nearly orgasmic wave of nostalgia and Christmas memories. But letting those feelings take hold is a dangerous game, one that often leads to her. And once that happens, breakfast is over. I just miss her too much. I grabbed my coat off the couch, watered my plants in the garage, and walked straight out the door and into my car. If you've ever noticed a little neon green PT Cruiser on the road with a picture of Santa blown up and plastered across my back window, that might have been me. When I got to the Walmart, which is really the only store I ever go to in person now that I think about it, I put my car in park and just sat there a minute. I looked around at all the poor saps spending their Christmas walking around a Walmart parking lot, and then looked at myself in the rearview mirror. She would have had something really funny to say right about now, and we both would have laughed and I would have added on to it. Jesus, that would have been jolly. That would have been. I opened the door and breathed in the warm Christmas air. When I got home, I took off my shoes, slipping into some festive candy cane slippers, washed my hands, checked on the plants again, and then grabbed the bag of stuff I'd bought at the store. I walked up to the closet door in my bedroom. Digging the keychain out of the How the Grinch Stole Christmas pajama pants I've been wearing all day, I noticed a scratch below the door's lock. I bent down to get a better look at it and ran my fingers across the imperfection. I hadn't noticed that before. Maybe I'd made the scratch one night in my sleep or something, which isn't as hard to believe as you might think. I have one hell of a hard time getting to sleep, and when I do, strange things happen. But then again, maybe it wasn't made by me at all. Maybe it was made by her, and I just didn't notice it until now. I plunged the key into the lock and twisted with a jerk. I had just enough room to walk in and turn to my side. And there stood yet another door. This one much more secure than my closet, or really any other door in my house for that matter. Or maybe even any other door I've ever seen. I unlocked the first lock with the first key, the second lock with the second key, the third with the third, and on down to the 33rd. After that, I grabbed the bag I'd placed on the floor to my side, twisted the knob, and peered down the stairs and into the darkness that waited for me. Once at the bottom, I reached up on my tiptoes to flip the light switch placed impractically high on the wall to my left. And then I looked at her. My basement wasn't finished. It was mostly just concrete slabs for walls, concrete slabs for the floor, and concrete beams to hold it all up. Off in the corner, maybe about 20 feet away or so, stood the concrete beam she called home. She'd been living there for a while now, ever since she didn't see things the way I hoped. A chain wrapped around and connected to the support beam led straight to her stainless steel ankle cuff. We had some troubles at first, but they were gone once I filled the lock chamber with hot glue. You know, I didn't realize it until then, but she was only a skeleton now, sprawled out on her back across the cold concrete floor. God, how long had it been? I thought it was just a few years, but it may have actually been a few years since that night I was driving home from a job in my dad's pickup. I remember it so vividly now. I was driving along the highway late at night after dropping off my gifts to my associate when I saw that beautiful woman standing just off to the side, her arm raised and thumb up. I still wonder how things could have been. "I'm sorry this year didn't go like you had hoped," I said, looking down at my slippered feet. It didn't really go like I'd hoped either, but things will be better next year, I promise. I opened up the bag and looked inside. "I got you a present for Christmas," I said, pulling out a brand new little toy truck. It was modeled after the early Ford models and came still in the box. "I knew you were wanting this. I heard you," I explained as I walked over and sat the gift at the chained skeleton's feet. I looked to my side across the room at the perfectly stacked pyramid of hundreds of empty toy truck boxes. I closed my eyes and turned away quickly. "Merry Christmas, darling, and thank you for calming down." When I opened my eyes, I stared into her empty sockets. She was thankful. I know she was. She told me. After locking the closet door and putting the keys back into my pocket, I walked to my kitchen and sat the Walmart bag down onto the table. I sat down and took the other toy truck I'd bought out of the bag. After wrapping it and sliding it under the tree, I took a seat in my old wooden rocking chair and watched old holiday claymation classics. First Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, then The Year Without a Santa Claus, and then my favorite, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. After a while, I looked up to the clock on my wall to see it was already 9 p.m. I sighed and turned off the TV before walking to my room and flopping into my bed. I thought about what Santa had brought me that day, the delicious breakfast I'd had, and then I started thinking about work. Those plants, the clients, and I guess thinking about all that stressful stuff eventually led my mind to her. I then stared at the ceiling for the next 10 hours, like I do every night on Christmas Eve. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's narration. I want to give a huge thanks to last month's $5 and up patrons: TJW, Marcus B, Greg S, Peggy, Gage W, Shanda K, Rachel H, Tim W, Baltic, Jules L, Bet S, Lydia P, Techo M, Grayson H, and all the other $5 and up and $2 patrons on screen as well. All of your support makes these narrations possible, and I appreciate it a ton. If you'd like to join these lovely ghouls, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get an exclusive narration that will never, ever be uploaded to my channel. Usually, one a bit too extreme for YouTube. So that's at least one extra video every month for just $1, if not more. For $2 a month, you'll get thanked in the end scroll of every video, and for just $5 a month, I'll shout you out at the end of multiple videos a month personally. You also get exclusive Discord roles for those perks as well. If you'd like to chat with me for a bit, you can join me on a monthly live stream for just $10 a month and get a signed merch sticker for $25 a month. And if you're in the market for some horrifying shirts and hoodies, you can head on over to my Teespring store in the description as well. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @2ndClancy. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.